strong.
Welcome back to Crypto for Freedom, where we talk about gaining financial freedom through the cryptocurrency markets. Today we're talking about Dogecoin. If you like the content, make sure to smash the like button, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. All right, let's jump into the charts. Dogecoin has been consistently making higher highs in every single one of its bull market cycles over here in 2013, again in 2018, and again in 2021. Now, it doesn't seem like Dogecoin is going to come up to make a new high this cycle, which is going to be very surprising considering that it has made a higher high in every single one of its cycles. Now, to me, it kind of looks like it's going to fall short. If you guys want to see my price prediction where I think Dogecoin is going to be at by the end of the year, make sure to stick around to the end of the video. Now, let's jump over to Bitcoin for a second. Bitcoin has been falling out of this rising wedge pattern on the daily chart, where it's found resistance at the top of the bull markets and support at the bottom of the bear markets. Now, in my opinion, it kind of seems like Bitcoin is making this head and shoulders pattern right here, and we could be seeing lower prices. That actually lines up with the 4-year cycle as well, which says that the top of the market is 540 days past the halving. Happened over here, and it also happened over here in 2017, where we saw a market cycle peak 540 days past the halving. This one was 525 days, and the first one was actually less, 543 days, but I almost count that peak as a deviation, where we saw 540 days past the halving, this peak over here, before it actually went down, and this one was actually a deviation. So, and that's where it fell through the 50-week moving average as well. Right here, you can see right before the previous peaks. And the same is true with the cycle we're in now. We've seen 540 days past the halving, and now the Bitcoin price is falling through the 50-week moving average. And in my opinion, we could be seeing diminishing losses, just like we're seeing diminishing returns. And with that, we could see a Bitcoin price coming all the way down to the 0.5 fib retracement, which I marked on the chart here, down to 39,000 was 70% retracement, and 30,000 would be a 77% retracement from the high in October of 2025, which I do believe is the high for the cycle. Now, jumping in on a smaller time frame here over for Bitcoin, it kind of seems like Bitcoin might be starting to form a bear flag. And if this bear flag pattern completes, that could bring Bitcoin all the way down to 54,000. Now, I think it's going to be going quite a bit lower than that. I think by October, you're going to have a massive buying opportunity for Bitcoin. Now, what does that mean for Dogecoin? Dogecoin, to me, really looks like it's doing what XRP did in the last cycle, where it made a lower high against the US dollar. And if we come over to the XRP chart, XRP did make a lower high, and if we draw this trend line down over here, we can see that once XRP broke out to its lower high, it had a problem coming up to make a higher high. In fact, it just came down, broke the 50-week moving average, came down and back tested this previous resistance as support. And I think that Dogecoin could be doing a very similar thing right now. Let's pull out the bars pattern and take a look at, let's take it from here. Like that. And then we'll copy it. We'll go back to the Dogecoin chart and we'll paste it. And you can see that it's making a very similar pattern to where it broke out. You can see it's making a very similar pattern where the price broke out, came back and back tested, and is probably going to be making another lower high before eventually finding a bear market bottom and going on to a new high in the next cycle. And that actually lines up with the 7-year cycle theory, which says that Dogecoin is going to be making lower highs against its Bitcoin pair for 7 years until eventually breaking out against its Bitcoin pair, just like this in its first 7 years of its cycle, making lower highs, finally breaking out into a new channel. And now it's been doing the same thing, and I think it's going to take 7 years again. This was the high for Doge Bitcoin back in October of 2024, where Dogecoin came up to 50462 against Bitcoin, and now it's dropped all the way back down to 50170 against Bitcoin, telling us that Dogecoin has lost a substantial amount of value against Bitcoin. And now I think that it's going to continue to lose a lot of value against Bitcoin until basically January early of 2028, where it could finally see a breakout past this trend line and finally break into a new channel. That's when we're going to see the real bull run for Dogecoin. And it's probably going to follow this same pattern as XRP. Maybe we'll get a relief rally, but then ultimately come back down and kind of form this W shape just like XRP did. So you guys need to be in this asset for the long term, have long-term conviction, and have an emergency fund. Begin with the end in mind, and make sure you're dollar cost averaging into your positions. Once you actually gain conviction in Bitcoin and you do enough studying, you'll probably end up realizing that, Bitcoin is the best place to be rather than Dogecoin. This is the inverse chart of the 7-year cycle theory, where, if this does play out, then we could see, a 1 million Dogecoin per Bitcoin at some point early 2028. And that's when we could, potentially see that massive run where Doge is going to gain a ton of value on Bitcoin, maybe break into a new channel. I mean, if you're able to trade 100,000 Dogecoin for 1 Bitcoin at some time in the future, you're probably going to want to make that trade. So it's really important to pay attention to this Dogecoin Bitcoin trading pair, because everything is going to reprice in Satoshis someday, and the percentage of the entire Bitcoin network is going to be the percentage of the entire world that you own. So it really doesn't matter what happens in the short term. If the price comes down 50%, which I think it's very likely to happen, because we see this bull market range that I've been talking about, where Bitcoin likes to come to the top and then have 50% retracements down to the bottom. And we've seen it multiple times. So why couldn't we see it happen again here with a 50% retracement, seeing Bitcoin come all the way down to $57,000 in the short term? That really doesn't matter to me, though, because overall we're seeing this asset class move up and to the right. Thank you guys for coming back to the channel. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to smash the like button, go down in the link below in the description, and check out all my videos in my playlist. And remember that none of this is financial advice. Always do your own research. And with that, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.